Kannada ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಸೆ, but I'm unable to due to not using the language for a very long time now. Distinguished members of Rotary and Pratham and members of the congregation, I, on behalf of Pragati, would like to express my deepest gratitude and congratulate both Pratham and Rotary for all that you've done. It's tremendous. 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಶುರು ಆದಾಗ ಇನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಮೀ ಸೋ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಟು ಸಿ ಹೌ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಹಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಸು ಕರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಗಲೀಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪಾಪ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದು ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಸಿ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್. You have provided the technical support, implemented programs, backed projects financially and logistically. Pragati is indebted to you. Kannada speakers from different careers in Austin and Houston have come together to form Pragati. Pragati is able to piggyback our two partners to enhance the reach of our fundraising efforts. It would have been impossible for us to reach without the two of you. It would have been impossible without this liaison to have achieved all that we have in the past 12 years and work towards our mission, accelerate India's progress through primary education. Pragati's reach in Karnataka from 2004 to 2016, nearly 60,000 children have been touched. 54,000 children have improved their reading abilities. 42,000 children gained literacy. Over 12,000 children learned basic math. Supported over 500 libraries. Supported over 100 preschools. The planned projects for the coming 2 years: basic Kannada and math programs, increase number of libraries, reach out to 100 villages in Tumkur and 50 villages in Chamarajanagar. Over 10,000 children to be benefited. Over 2 years with a budget of $100,000. How is Pragati raising funds? Starting new chapters of Pragati in San Antonio and Dallas. We have just been given that, been told that the chapters are going to start both in San Antonio and Dallas. So hopefully we can fourfold our fundraising. Service projects and volunteering, fundraising from summer camps. Many of our members conduct summer camps. Every summer, Ravi Doddegoda and Tobrida, basketball head. So that's one way we gather money. Makkadu arrange ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ all the money that gift money that they get, they donated to Pragati, and same during birthdays and stuff. ನನ್ನ ಮಗಳ arrange ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ that we give all the her monies to Pragati rather than keep it for ourselves. Site visits like what we do now. Event planning and execution, we do have concerts and ನಾಟಕೋತ್ಸವ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So that's another form of fundraising that we have done in the past. Financial contributions, of course, getting matching amounts from employers. So now, particular donation, and many of the companies like Dell and IBM and such, they match an equal amount. So that has been a boom to us. Significant progress has been made by our three organizations working together. However, there is so much more to do. We can do so and reach out more by doubling our efforts. Being in the field of education for the past 25 years actively, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of early and elementary childhood education, where most of a child's physical, social, academic, and emotional development happens. My focus during my master's was studying the various methods of education used all over the world to educate the very young. I found that there is no parallel to the Montessori method for this age group. I further continued to take my diplomas in both primary and elementary Montessori education, which spans for children between the ages of 3 and 12. Maria Montessori was a doctor, a scientist, and an educator. Being a doctor and a scientist, she was a very keen observer and recorded her observations. She noted that the characteristics and tendencies of children all around the world are the same, irrespective of the language they spoke, the race they came from, or their economic background. She formulated the method for orphans, extremely poor urchins, illiterate and mentally handicapped and neglected children of the society. She started it in a housing room in the slums of Rome. People were skeptical about her and her methods in the beginning. What these children revealed was a miracle in a few short years. The hands-on approach adopted by the method helps in numeracy and literacy. The didactic materials used renders itself for remedial programs. Bangalore is lucky to have several Montessori teacher training institutes. I would like us to work with them to see how we can take Montessori education to the rural areas. Here is an interesting article that I thought is thought-provoking to all. So please bear with me as I read through an excerpt. But in fact, in Bardaga, I had not seen Mr. Sheshadri's presentation. It shows that what I'm going to read, what was done by Harvard professor, you have shown here what Pratham is doing today. So, and also I can see a lot of the Montessori techniques already that has been incorporated into your models. So, but there could be a little bit more with the didactic materials that we have to offer. So sometimes maybe when you have the time, if you can come over to one of the training centers, we can show you some of the materials that are so hands-on for the children. So anyway, this is an article by Dan and Chip Heath. Find a bright spot and clone it. Start by locating a bright spot, a ray of hope. When Jerry Sternin arrived in Vietnam, his job was to open an office in the country to fight malnutrition. The minister told him, "You have 6 months to make a difference, and no more." Sternin had minimal staff and meager resources. The conventional wisdom was that malnutrition was a result of an intertwined set of problems. Poor sanitation, poverty, clean water not available, and lack of knowledge of nutrition. The rural people tended to be ignorant about all of the above. Millions of kids can't wait for those issues to be addressed, he said. If addressing malnutrition required ending poverty or purifying water and building sanitation systems, then it would never happen, especially in 6 months with virtually no money to spend. Except from Malnutrition in Vietnam wanted to talk about poverty, education, and sanitation systems. When it's time to change, we must look for bright spots. We need to ask ourselves a question that sounds simple, but is in fact difficult. What's working, and how can we do more of it? Sternin traveled to a local village and called together all the mothers of the village to help. As the first step, they went out in teams to weigh and measure every child in the village. He asked them, "Did you find any poor kids who are bigger and healthier than the typical child?" The women nodded and said, "Cho. Yes. He said, "You mean it's possible today in this village for a very poor family to have a well-nourished child?" Cho, he said. "Then let's go see what they're doing is different." Sternin's strategy was to search the community for bright spots. If a handful of kids were staying healthy against all odds, why couldn't every kid be healthy? Mothers then observed the homes of the bright spot kids, and they noticed some unexpected habits. For one thing, bright spot moms were feeding their children 4 meals a day, though using the same amount, they had split it into 4 rather than 2. The style of eating was also different. The healthy kids were fed more actively by hand if necessary. Perhaps most interesting, the healthy kids were eating different kinds of food. Their mothers were collecting tiny shrimp and crabs from the rice paddy fields Solution was a native one emerging from the experience of the villagers, and for that reason it was realistic as well as nutrition on their own. Dozens of experts have analyzed this situation in Vietnam, the water supply, the sanitation, the poverty, and the ignorance, but they hadn't changed a thing. 6 months after Sternen's visit to the Vietnamese village, 65% of the kids were better nourished, and they stayed that way. Later, when researchers from Emory University School of Public Health came to Vietnam to gather data, they found that even children who hadn't been born when Sternen left the village were staying healthy. This provided proof that the changes had stuck. In tough times, we'll see problems everywhere, and analysis paralysis will often kick in. That's why to make progress for change, we need to provide crystal clear direction. Show people where to go, how to act, what destination to pursue. So give them a roadmap. And that's why bright spots are so essential. They provide the roadmap. Sternen's success began to spread. People who wanted to replicate the nutrition model came from different parts of Vietnam. Every day they would go to this living university, to these villages, touching, smelling, sniffing, watching, listening. They would graduate, go to their villages, and implement the process until they got it right. The program reached 2.2 million Vietnamese people in 265 villages. This living university has become a national model for teaching villagers to reduce drastic malnutrition in Vietnam. We may not be fighting malnutrition here, but if we are trying to change things, there are going to be bright spots in our field of view. And if we learn to identify and understand them, we will solve one of the fundamental mysteries of change. What exactly needs to be done differently? I think these Pratham models are those bright spots. We should ask ourselves, what is the ratio of the time we spend solving problems versus scaling success? These flashes of success, these bright spots can provide a roadmap for action and the hope that change is possible. I'm sure we are on the right path following Sternen's methods, and that the projects we undertake and seek it to fruition become bright spots for others to follow, for our country needs many more Pragati, Pratham, Rotary liaisons to accelerate India's progress. What we have is a precious and proven product. I, on behalf of Pragati, would like to make a wholehearted appeal to both Pratham and Rotary to go above and beyond to help us reach more children. Thank you.